segment. Did that work? Let's see if we are live. Turn on the lights, camera, action.
I'm fixing the shot, so this dummy is in it.
Thank you.
They're very helpful.
I don't like it when the dummy's in my shots.
It's the worst.
Let's check our sound. I always check the sound. I think that one day where we did the whole video without sound has left scars on my psyche.
He ate with the little green frog one day. He ate with the little green frog.
I don't know what that
Ate with
means.
the little green
Are you doing my sound check for me? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. But we all know frogs go la-da-da, la-da-da, la-da-da. We all know frogs go la-da-da. We don't go eat at the... Does it work?
Right. I think that is correct. Amundo.
Thanks.
Kevin,
Yes.
did you watch the videos of any of the Kenosha rioting?
Oh yeah.
Did you watch any of that? Do you have?
I
What,
saw
what do you
that.
think? If only those guys had known jiu-jitsu, they would have been totally fine. No? Wait, am I wrong?
I don't know. Does jiu-jitsu teach you to not attack people with this already?
Here, there was actually one of the most interesting moments. Yes, step one. So there's an old saying, never bring a knife to a gunfight.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still better than just charging a dude in a gunfight, right? Like there's the one guy, I don't mean to make light, I kind of am, but seriously, don't charge the guy with the AR-15, even if he is running away.
Yeah, even if you shot someone, don't chase the guy down.
What was the other one? The other one was the one that really kind of got me was, it was the last guy who wound up getting shot. The only guy
The arm
who,
guy?
what?
The arm guy?
Yeah, the guy who had a weapon.
Yeah.
He had a gun.
Yeah.
And he ran up on the guy
Yep.
with his gun.
Yep.
So the idea of a gun is that I don't actually have to get close to you to shoot you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and if you are also armed, I should probably get behind something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that guy was just on the street. If you want to shoot somebody, you don't have to go like this to shoot them. Even if he didn't have a weapon, that was kind of dumb. It was just kind of, I know it was kind of spur of the moment, but
Don't run on people who have guns.
get behind even the cops don't do that.
Well, especially because the guy had already shown a willingness to.
He was
shoot
ready
people.
to kill.
Like if you're chasing
He
down
wasn't
a
shot.
guy who had just shot a guy. I don't know.
He's already proven that he's ready
Yeah.
to kill some folks,
Anyway,
right?
let's do something less.
I just thought, no, it's not controversial. I just thought it was one of those things. I also was thinking about all the people who were, I don't know, there's something in the jiu-jitsu community, I think, that I read a lot where people are like, they're going to intervene, right? There's
the jiu-jitsu people.
yeah, like jiu-jitsu people I think often say that they want to intervene, and I think that's a noble thing, right? Like,
Intervene what?
like if there were a mass shooting, right? If there was a guy and they saw him shoot a bunch of people, that they would intervene.
Why?
Because
Seems like-
I think jiu-jitsu people are protective, and I think that's not ignoble, unnoble. I don't know what the right word is.
Well, the only way to fight a bad guy with jiu-jitsu is a good guy with jiu-jitsu. So.
Oh Lord.
Alright, you ready?
Yeah. What are you showing now?
Alright, I wanted to show what I like to do in mount.
Uh-oh. Kevin's mount secrets.
Which I don't know if it's like something that everybody can do, because it does take advantage of the long arms, but
Are we in frame here? Check the frame.
yeah.
Alright.
Can we do 45 here? Alright, so few key details, right? Before you do anything, we need to establish our mount position, right? So like the basics, one, I can't have his elbows in between my legs and his body, right? So like, can you do this one so they can see? Right, so if I'm trying to establish mount here and his arm is coming in between my leg and and his body, right? I can't go any more until I address this problem, right? I'm not gonna attack anything else unless the attack is to solve this problem here, right? So if he is kind of turning onto his side and he's getting underneath and he's making space, right? What I like to do is I'll attack this Ezekiel here, right? So it'll force him to bring up his arms, right? And then once his arms are
You
up,
want me to bring it up? I don't know if I bring it up because I think this is certain death.
just do whatever you would do if you
All
were.
right, so if I'm here,
Yeah,
I'll
so-
try to protect my hand a little
Right,
bit.
so yeah, he's trying to protect his arm, right? When that happens, we're gonna grab it and we're gonna get our, what is this? Kimura gift wrap, right? The other option, if that doesn't present itself, right? A lot of the times I like to try and fish for this arm here, because a lot of people will try and grab this arm, right? And they'll be like super tight with it, right? And then I'll use that. If they hold on to it, I'll bring it up and lead it to my other hand, and I get my Kimura gift wrap here, right? If he's turning onto his side and it's getting a little bit out of control, right? What I'll do is I'll just cross face him another way and flatten him back out, and then again try and get underneath his elbows with my knees, right? If I'm able to get all the way up, right, then I'll go into my S mount here, right, which is probably one of the better options, but sometimes the person won't let me walk the arms up here, right? So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop his head so that I can eliminate the number of opportunities for him to turn onto his side, right? By scooping his head, I can keep him, I know that he's only going to be able to turn this way, right? So I scoop here, and this hand here that's scooping, I either look for the armpit, right? Or I'm looking for something else to grab. A lot of the times I'll grab the forearm here, right? Or really anything to keep me connected, right? At the same time, I need to make sure that my weight is good, right? If I'm just like hanging out over here, he's gonna be able to bridge and roll me because my arm is trapped, right? So I'm gonna be leaning towards this way. I like to use my shoulder to keep his face turned in this direction, right? And now from here, my right arm is going to start pushing things towards the floor, right? So a couple things might happen. One, sometimes I'm able to get it all the way extended and I'll pin this hand to the floor here, right? Another thing is if I can't get it all the way out, I'm able to push on this elbow here just enough to be able to hook on this forearm, right? And now I can readjust my grip and I have 2-on-1 controlling his arm here, right? And normally if I'm able to get this arm all the way down, I'll end up scooping it for the Americana here, right? And I like this a lot personally because most people are taught that you need to have this elbow next to the neck, right? So if the head is scooped, a lot of people don't defend like they should, right? So we get here and they realize, oh, he can get this, right? And it's usually too late. Right, but having this head scooped here is like this anchoring point. So if I can use my right arm here to feed this hand, right? Now he's not going to be able to just pull it out, right? Go ahead. Right, compared to it being like here, right? I have really no control, right? But I use part of his body as an anchor point, and now it gives me a limb to kind of hold onto his arm as I reset this hand to a place with a little bit more leverage, and I can start pushing this down to the floor. Right, so usually the sequence is I get to a crappy mount, right, and it's not yet solidified here, right? I scoop the head, right, I'm going to jam my fist into the throat, right? As he deals with this problem, right, I'm going to get my knees underneath his arms, and now I switch to trying to attack his arm here, right? I just want to pass it to this hand, right? So I pass, I get my grip, and then I reset my grip. I can push this to the floor here, right? I don't like trying to scoop under this elbow. It's very hard sometimes. If a person just keeps his elbow heavy on the floor, I'm not going to be able to get under there. All right, so instead I go up by the hand, lift his hand up a little bit, and swim, right? Sometimes against a really flexible person, I'm not going to be able to finish here, but most of the time it's usually fine, right? We're just going to pull everything, like squeeze and slowly lift the elbow up, right? But what this does, the reason I like to do this is because by scooping his head and really forcing my attacks to go in this direction, I can be sure that if he does turn onto his side, right, I know it's going to be in this direction and I can deal with it, right? So if I'm pushing on this and he turns to escape, right? I let him turn, and I'm gonna look for this gift wrap, right? Ideally, what I really like is I'm looking for this elbow as well, right? So if I'm attacking here, and then he slips his arm across, right? Now I'm gonna use my chest to block that space, and then I'm gonna look for this gift wrap here, all right? And then once I'm able to get this, our options open up. We can go into mount, we can go into back take, and I'm trying to do a whole lot of stuff just from getting this, right? But if they hide that, a lot of people who roll with me do their best to not let me get the Kimura, right? In which case we're gonna go after this arm, right? And if I can't go after anything, he's making it very difficult, I'm gonna switch back to the neck, right? Until this arm comes back into play. All right, so it's a combination of, I wanna push this arm to the ground. That'd be cool, right? I wanna get this elbow across the center line with my chest behind it. That'd be cool too. Or I wanna get the Nogi Ezekiel, all right? Whatever I'm able to get from a combination there is usually pretty good. So you kind of cycle back and forth. All right, and remember, all right, as we're doing this, if he starts to really manage to get an escape going, right, he's getting onto his side here, right? I really want to cross face him, flatten him back out here, or continue attacking the neck so that he has to deal with this problem. Okay, so we went over, right, this weird Americana. Another option that I really like is coming in for this, what is this called?
It's kind of like a reverse half.
It's like a reverse half,
I guess.
right? So like a
Yeah.
half Nelson type thing, right? So
Reverse half, but it's what is this? I don't know. I'll think of it
yeah,
in a second.
it's a thing,
It's a thing.
right? So what we want to do is, if I can, I want to make a fist. I'll bring it right down into this armpit here. All right, and then from here, this is a good place to start trying to turn my person over. If I can get this arm across, that's very helpful too. Right, or even better, if I can get this arm trapped behind me here, right, then as I turn, I can start walking up into my monoplata or my Kimura here. All right, so usually we're getting into mount. First thing, I'm going to scoop the head. All right, second thing, I'm going to start looking for his forearm here, right? Or if he tries to grab his arm here, I'm going to bring his arm up and feed it into my gift wrap. Most people, that'll only work once, right? And then they'll stop holding on to your arms, but that one time is great and it's fun, right? So if he's keeping everything super tight, I can't get anything here, great. I'm going to look for his neck, right? Until he brings his own hands up. Right.
Get that.
See how I slip the elbow across my belly here? Right now it's trapped, and then I can support the elbow here and use this to turn him over, or I usually prefer to get the Kimura gift wrap here and start turning him over in this direction.
So it's like a triple, quadruple threat in a way. It really doesn't matter what the person does, you've got something to work on.
For both arms and the neck,
Yeah.
ideally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like the idea of keeping them only able to turn to one side. And I'm always willing to let a person turn onto their side.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
As long as it's the side you want, or
As long as it's the side I'm prepared for. And the only thing that I'm really keeping track of is their elbow, right? And ideally,
the top elbow.
yeah, the top elbow. Right, good people will turn, and then I have to fight to get this across here, or reset, or abandon.
This is the Hodger special, by the way.
The being in mount.
Oh well, I mean yes, but that attack of the Ezekiel in order to force the person to bring their elbows up or turn on their side, that's like Hodger's. I don't know if signature is the right word, but that's one of the reasons why his mount is so devastating. For the same thing, you know, it's just basically there's 3 or 4 things
And the other part of it is, which I think you emphasized, is, you know, cheating to the side so that you don't get rolled.
Yeah.
You know, so as long as you're, I mean, if you're not prepared to deal with that as an initial matter, right, where you're not either cross-facing, right, or leaning over to the other side, then you're going to get rolled, and then none of that stuff will work. So you need to have that first. I like that. The first thing is obviously, you know, solidifying or confirming the position, right?
Usually that's the Ezekiel. Yeah, because I want people to like I need to defend this here, and by catching someone by surprise, it'll make them hopefully get their arms up, and if it doesn't, at least like it gives them something to think about. And
I think everyone is going to react to they're going to have to react to the no-gi Ezekiel,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if you don't have good base to begin with, then they're going to react in a way that's going to knock you over,
Yeah.
right? And then they're going to try to get out from there.
I would say the best reaction will be like you need to deal with it, but don't overreact. What I usually enjoy people Ezekialing me because I view it from bottom as an opportunity to bridge and roll.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they are inherently trapping their own arms. But it's it's dangerous. It's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
Because if they get it, they get it. And especially in gi, where if they set an Ezekiel from mount, they'll probably finish it from guard, even if you do roll them over.
Yeah. And they're going to go.
Yeah.
That's not one that you let go of. You're going to go till the bitter end. If you hook in an Ezekiel with a gi, that's pretty much over.
Yeah. Pretty much every person I've choked out has been from an Ezekiel. People don't like tapping to that.
I think it's an embarrassment factor, right? You're like, oh, I fell for that, and that's like day 101.
And then you wake up.
And then and your neck's sore your throat's sore for a week.
Yeah.
I think the other lesson from this is that you know like there's that initial moment. Well, ideally you're reacting from the bottom before you get mounted, right? You see that a lot. Actually, it's funny because today I was thinking a lot about mount escapes and hip escapes, which is like the most basic first aid type of thing. Like there's bridging, right, and there's shrimping, and how to get out of the mount, right, and how to get out of the headlock. Those are like the 4 like day 1 things that you often learn. And I always thought, or eventually I came to think that the best defense in the mount or from the bottom when you're mounted is not to be like here, like when you're on top, and then start thinking like this is when I start to defend. Because here if you know what you're doing and you have an agenda, you're gonna already be attacking me. So even if I defend this and I start getting here, right, that feels pretty good, right, in terms of like your ability to attack me, right? But right, even here you have things to do, right? You're gonna start. Even if I battle in here and I feel like you're not, you know what I mean, here, and I'm getting up, I'm still way behind.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even though I'm doing everything right, I have my elbow wedged in there.
Yeah.
That's not.
It's still too late.
It's too late against a good person.
Yeah.
So I often think first is, I don't want to let you go to I don't always know what my training partner's best side is, but I don't want to let you force me to my weak side. So when we're here, I want to get over to my good side.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. And you can see here, now this is all so far away. Right? Trying to get me in here is going to be hard. Not that you don't have things to do from here, but that it's going to be a lot easier for me to escape when I'm escaping before you're fully mounted.
Yeah.
I have to start my escape. Same thing with the arm locks. I was thinking about this, we went over, how to deal when the person is, last week, how the person, when the person hitchhiker escapes. Not to say that isn't a good escape or it doesn't work, but you're really behind at that point.
Yeah.
And if you're like a person like you, experienced, you're anticipating that's not going to get me out, right? It's an escape that's going to get me into something just as bad, if not worse, against somebody who's anticipating. So the idea is like, if you're going to escape, whether it's the arm lock or the mount, you have to start the escape before the person, especially if like you get a Kimura grip, you get the arm across the, once you get those types of things on somebody, it's really hard. You're so far behind. So, the lesson that I always drew was, if you're going to start escaping, you have to start the escape when the other person is actually beginning to do their thing, right? So you're getting onto the mount, I should already start my escape at that moment,
Yeah,
if not earlier.
As I would say, as they're mounting
Mhm.
is the best time, just to get your arms where you think they need to be. You know, moving or making your own transitions while your opponent transitions is a lot easier than if I let you set up camp.
Yep.
And it's ideally the sooner that I realize that things aren't going my way, the better it is for me to like start setting up my escape. You know, there's a tendency for people to kind of fight for the bitter end, especially like to stop people from passing. Like,
Yep.
you know, if you just started setting up your escape like 2 seconds ago, you would be farther along in that escape process. So it's a fine balance because we want people to like, you know, fight for things and try and have that kind of grit. But there's also a point where your experience should tell you that it's better to kind of abandon what you're doing and start setting up the defense a little bit earlier than you probably would have. I don't know, it's a fine balance.
It's
but
hard. I mean, that's experience, and that's also like, you know, when you're training against somebody who's good, even when you do that, that's not necessarily going to mean. I mean, you can start your escape, and then the person can just transition into something else, right? So it's not like it's always so. Oh, okay, now I'm going to start my mount escape while they're mounting, and then I'm good. You know, I'm going to get back to a decent position. No, wrong. That person could still wind up on your back. They could still wind up in a, maybe not on your back. That would be a terrible escape, right? A terrible mount escape is that I get out of the mount and you wind up on my back.
Yeah.
But they could still transition into something else, or they'll go back to. It's the same way in the reverse, right? Like, so a lot of times I get out when people insist on mounting. They get into a good position, they're cross-side, and now they're going to mount. And they even when I get everything ready to go, and an experienced person would know that I'm ready to escape.
Yeah.
As soon as they step over, people will still step over because they're like, I'm going to mount.
Yeah.
So there's like it's a fine line, but for both people, right? You don't always know that my escape is leading to something worse or something equally bad. And if I keep escaping,
Yeah.
right, when they were already transitioning, then maybe I'm giving up something else too, right? So it's not black and white all the time,
Yeah.
you know.
What I noticed is, well, at least when I started training, there was an emphasis on like practicing techniques from, like if I'm practicing defending or escaping, I want to practice doing it from the worst possible
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And I think that has value, because you know you wanna have the confidence that no matter what you're able to escape, even though you're like 99% into the thing. But I also noticed that people who train with that in mind typically let people get farther into the submission that they're going to escape from, like way too deep. When like, you know, because they train like let the person like start with the person in this like terrible thing and then work your way from there. But like the better escape is not letting them get that deep into the thing, right? Like part of being able to defend is recognizing that you're in danger, right? And that like you need to start doing something about this now. And if you don't do this thing early enough, a good person is going to be able to catch you. Like after a certain point, if you know the skill level of your opponent is high enough, like if you're 3 moves away from a submission, you're going to get submitted. You know, they're so sharp with it, and you can't mess around with that kind of person. But I don't know. You should probably do both. I kind of go back and forth between training and allowing people to have stuff and like letting them get deeper into a thing than I would normally be comfortable with, so that I can work my way out of it. But then I'll end up rolling with someone who's good, and I'll let them get too far into things. And I'm too used to being able to escape, and that will get you into trouble as well.
I think it's one of those things where when you're training with somebody where the skill disparity is so great that giving them that advanced position is it's almost like a handicap for yourself, so that you can keep things interesting, right? So, you know, okay, you're training with that new white belt or blue belt. maybe isn't that good yet, right? And so letting them start off on an arm lock is good for them, right?
But I think it's bad for you.
Well,
I think it's really bad.
Well, I mean, again, it could be, look, how often are you in a deep arm lock, you know, unless you're training with somebody who's really good?
Yeah.
Probably never, right? Like, not that much. So if you want to, if you let the person, let's say you start off in like EBI rules and you let them in the spider web, or you let them with, you know, back control, then you're going to get some good, because you, against a good person, you probably will be in that position. So you might as well practice it.
But like training for EBI, that's kind of a different context.
No, but I'm just using that as an example, right? Like, you know, when I used to train at Henzo's, it was commonplace, right? Henzo and John and, you know, Ricardo, like they would let you start in, I mean, I was a blue belt, right? Or a purple belt. I mean, we just roll normally. I mean, these are Abu Dhabi, you know, champions, you know, and MMA, you know, legit high-level MMA fighters. Like rolling with Rich Jackson with blue belt is not fun, right? Like it's not a challenge. They don't get any work from that. So, but if they put me on their back, it's still not a challenge for them. But at least they have some.
Yeah.
You know, at least I have some fun as opposed to just getting smashed for however long they want to smash me.
That's fair.
You know, at least I'll be there for a few seconds before they turn the tables and smash me.
Yeah. I don't know. I've gone on some rants where some people I feel like think that is sufficient in terms of their defense training, like where
Right. No, I agree. It's not I like, you should do both,
Yeah.
right? You should be practicing sort of early defense or avoidance almost, as opposed to even defense, just like being in good positions that don't allow you to be attacked in certain ways. And then there's the early defenses where you just get out of things in the very beginning. And then there's the late defense, which hopefully you don't need to rely on that much, but it's still a decent skill to kind of develop, I think.
Well, I would say like if you want to practice defense, then you should be training with someone who you're afraid of. Like not like literally afraid of, but someone who should be a viable threat to you. You know, having a bunch of white belts and blue belts. I like training with white belts and blue belts, but they're probably not going to get my defense as sharp as compared to rolling with you.
Well, I mean, again, right? Like, when is somebody a viable threat, right? Like, you are a viable threat at every point of the roll.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I always have to be ready to defend.
Yeah.
There's never a moment where I'm like, oh, I'll just let Kevin, you know, do whatever he wants because I'll just get out. No, if I just let you, regardless of whether I let you do it or not, you're probably going to catch, right?
Yeah.
You're going to work your way. Whereas with somebody else, I could say like, well, this person's never going to present any threat to me unless I give them something.
Yeah, but there is value in not being threatened
Both.
by someone
Both.
because you can.
The better thing is to never be in the position, right? In the long term, you never want to be in the position where you're almost getting submitted, or you're even if you can just avoid submissions all the time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when we started talking, right? If you have a gun and I have a gun,
Yeah.
right? And I run up to you and I try to shoot. If you already have the gun in your hand, ready to go, that is foolish. The better option is to avoid that situation altogether. Circle around to the back when you don't see me and shoot you from the back.
Oh my god. Okay.
Like it's a full circle,
Yes.
right? You know?
Yes.
Come on. You got to cheat. You got to stack the deck in your favor.
It's true. If you're fighting in a fair fight, your tactics suck.
Should never be a fair fight.
I don't know. I'm very uncomfortable right now. We're good.
We're good.
All right,
I don't know why you're so uncomfortable.
Yeah, gun control.
All right. See you guys.